these are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It is 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and we are here for the game preview show. It should be exciting because we got a lot to talk about. 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs, but there's a lot of great stories that go along with that.
Absolutely. Tons of great stories. Don't even think about it, Chad. Just keep it to yourself. It's fine. Everything's good. Everything's great. We got 49ers football tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got tons of great things to talk about. We got tons of things to break down. And we got a little bit of a condensed mini preview show. Not the full thing that some of you are used to. Not the full thing for those of you who are new to the channel. And there's tons of you down there. We really appreciate all of the new people who are a part of this channel. Been doing wonderful things down there in the chat. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already, because this is definitely the only video that you could have possibly liked today. It's the only content we put out. Everyone, though, it's versus. We got week 1 of the NFL preseason, right, for the 49ers. It's 49ers versus the Chiefs at Levi's Stadium. Look at that beautiful overlay, beautiful graphic there. And you always do a great job with that.
Well, thank
kind
you.
of
I
stuff,
appreciate that, man.
But listen, we got things to watch, right? Things to watch in this week 1 preseason game against the Chiefs. And what's one thing that the Cutback crew, the faithful, everybody that's watching this game needs to be looking out for?
I think the first thing is Trey Lance. I mean, it is. I think it's on everyone's mind. That's what everyone wants to see. They want to see number 5 under center. They want to see how he operates against this Kansas City first-team defense. If he's going to be able to execute the way he's been executing in practice. There's so much high hopes for what Trey Lance could do. And I think that there is a very big group of 49er fans that would love for Trey Lance to go out there and absolutely dominate so that way he could take over for Jimmy Garoppolo. Then there's the other half that want Trey Lance to dominate no matter what because they don't care if it's Trey or if it's Jimmy as long as the 49ers win. But everyone has an interest in what Trey Lance does. And I am definitely interested in how Kyle Shanahan calls offense, him and McDaniel, with the fact that they're not going to do too much running with Trey Lance. So how he operates out of the pocket and how he wins a kind of a battle of wits with Tyrann Mathieu, who is somebody that can, make you do things with your eyes. And that's one thing Trey's been working on is confusing the covers, moving a safety off their spot with his eyes. So that is a matchup that I'm looking forward to watching.
Oh, big time. Big time looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun one indeed. I'm looking forward also to watching the second-team offensive line going up against someone that's not the 49ers second-team defensive line. That O-line, we've talked about it a little bit. They've struggled. They've struggled at times. They've had some issues. They haven't been as clean as you want them to be. They haven't been able to keep some of the blitzing pressure, especially off of Trey Lance. And so this is something that I want to be able to see them execute a little bit better, picking up blitzes, giving Trey some time. Because Trey's going to be operating with him for a while. Trey's going to be spending a lot of time with the second team at the moment. Obviously, when we get into regular season games, when he goes out there and he's playing with the first team O-line. That's fine. But until that time comes, second team, you got to keep this man protected. We invested a lot of capital in him. So I want to see how they perform. I want to see how they produce against this Chiefs second unit and maybe even a little bit of that first unit.
I think it's going to be the first unit at first.
I think so as well.
And so this offensive line is going to have to step up, and we're going to get to see exactly how far Banks has got. How far has Aaron Banks got in his growth from OTAs through training camp? I think we saw growth in him from the days that we were out there. He's gotten better. But also, how about the movement of McKivitz to left guard and Tom Compton to right tackle? Does that continue? Is that something they're planning on doing in the game? And if so, how is it going to look against this Chiefs first-team defense? If they have that first-team defensive line, it's going to be everything these guys can handle. Now, they are ready for this because they've been going against some great defensive linemen already. The 49ers' second-team defensive line is outstanding. In fact, their third-team defensive line is outstanding. By far the deepest group on the roster. So it's going to be exciting to watch. And there's just so many storylines because you got the rookies, Banks and Moore out there. Let's see how they do. And then also, you can almost look at McKivitz as somewhat of a rookie. He had no OTAs, no preseason. This is his first preseason game ever. Luckily for him, he did play in regular season games last year, but there's still development to be there. So the 49ers have a very young second-string offensive line. How they handle this Chiefs experienced defensive line is going to be curious. and how Kyle Shanahan uses Trey Lance in the pocket. Is it, him exclusively in the pocket? Is he going to move the pocket? Does he want Trey to feel comfortable outside? What are the things that he's going to do to mix it up? I figure we'll see some boots. It'll be a little bit of a mixture. That way Trey can be successful. But 30 snaps, how many are runs, how many are passes? It's all things that are going to be cool to watch.
Absolutely, definitely going to be. Just seeing that second team group working with Trey is going to be fun to watch. Getting to see the wide receivers that they rotate out there and who's playing with who and who's doing what. Especially with Jalen Hurd not being on the field, that's going to open up some opportunities for guys like Juwan Jennings to get out there, River Craycraft to get some more snaps and solidify himself and move himself up the roster. Getting to see probably a little bit more of Travis Benjamin as well as Mohamed Sanu, probably in little spurts. I imagine Sanu is probably going to be limited to an extent in this first game. He'll probably get heavier snaps in games 2 and game 3, I would imagine. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch the offense play, but I'm more excited to watch the second unit on defense, because there's so many storylines and potentialities there that have a drastic impact on this team. From the Maurice Hurst to the Zach Kurz to the Arden Keys of the world, because Arden Key will probably getting some run with the first team, but is going to definitely be mixing in and playing a lot with that second unit as well. So seeing that second unit, especially the D-line, that front four there, what guys are playing, who's having success, who's not, and even going into the third group as well, who's performing and who's not, because that's going to help start to set the tone for who's got the edge up and who's got the inside track to make that D-line group and make the 53-man roster. But you also can't forget on the other side of the ball, the big question mark, right? The cornerback room, the corners. Deontay Johnson's had a great camp so far. B.W. Webb has shown up in a big way playing in the slot. You still have Ambry Thomas. You have Diamond Lenore getting their first taste of NFL action. There's a lot of questions still about this DB room and who's going to be where and who's going to be utilized in what ways. Tomorrow is an opportunity to kind of see it for the first time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're going to get an opportunity to see them play another team. It's not going to be scripted. There's going to be a lot that goes into, what is going on in the field. They're going to have to adjust on the fly, down in distance, different coverages, different sets, personnel groupings. It's all real for the first time for some of these guys. And the 49ers have questions in the depth department at linebacker, at corner, and at safety now. So there's going to be some interesting things that go on there. You're going to see the defensive line has a lot of depth, but the other positions, there are questions. At linebacker, we'll get to see Marcel Harris playing linebacker. You'll have Jonas Griffith, and everyone's going to get a real good look at him for the first time in a game situation for the 49ers. He's going to show out, and he's going to play well. I can guarantee you that. He's looked good in practice, and he'll probably get a little run with the first team, and then when it comes time for the second team, he'll be manning Fred Warner's position, and he'll be in control, and then Marcel Harris will play the outside linebacker. So I am curious how Marcel Harris plays in the box as a linebacker. We've seen him do it as a safety, but there is a difference when you're playing from a different depth. I know they've said that he's going to be better playing closer to the line of scrimmage. We shall see, because the vision changes. The farther you're away, the easier it is to see some of the lanes and holes. When you're close, you have to kind of navigate your way through it. So just seeing how he's progressing is going to be fun to see, and also just give us an idea of what they need to do, because they're still talking about bringing in other linebackers. So obviously they're not set at that position, so we get to see Burgess and some of these other guys as well. How is this linebacker room going to pan out, and is this bad news for Flanagan Foles, who's been injured? Alshire, we think, is very secure in his position, but he's out as well.
That's true. They got both of them out, and it kind of sucks with Shire being out. Number one, I was hoping to see him run a little bit, because I imagine he was going to probably get some first-team reps and maybe a little bit of second-team reps as well.
Yeah.
And really get him in there, because they'd probably move him just to another spot, right? Move him from the left side to the right, or move him maybe even to middle at certain points in time, just to kind of give him a look, because he is that guy we feel like is the diverse linebacker who can kind of play really wherever you need him. You can play him around. Flanagan Foles needs it. Flanagan Foles needs preseason reps. So the fact that he's dealing with the concussion protocol stuff just... man, it makes it tough. It's going to make it that much harder for him to solidify a roster spot, because he's going to have less time to accomplish it and less game snaps to do so as well. But yeah, you're right. I'm excited to see Marcel Harris in actual game action, because some people may think it's easier to play in the box. I would argue it's harder. Someone who liked playing corner on the outside because he had a lot of room and a lot of space to read things going on. It's really hard when you're in the trenches, having to navigate through trenches, right? Having to see over 6'5" dudes in space, trying to find a 5'10" ball carrier. That ain't easy.
Yeah, no, it's not. When you're playing linebacker, by the time you take your read step, you need to be able to locate the football and begin getting downhill so you can fill your window that you're supposed to go through. And when you're not able to do that, it's hard. So Marcel Harris has got to find his way and navigate through that. I'll be interested to see how he's able to stop this run game. If he's able to meet these guys at the point of attack and make them go backwards, he is a good physical hitter, so he should be able to do that. He'll be able to cover out of the backfield. That will be a strong suit for him because I think he can handle covering running backs. He was a mismatch issue, covering a receiver on the outside or a receiver that was getting deep down the seam. He's not good at it. But him playing, coverage in the box and around the box against running backs and tight ends, he can handle that. So it is definitely a better situation for him. And I think last year I was so hyped about Jonas that now that I finally get to see him, he's changed his body, he's changed the way he plays. He's doing everything that Fred Warner does as far as he's following him, he's watching him, he's being groomed. I am curious how much of a step he's made because we haven't got to see him make full contact hits in practice. And you can tell there's a big difference. There's Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw that fly everywhere, and then there's the other linebackers who are a little bit behind. Who's going to make that step? Who's going to jump up and take that other linebacker spot? I would love if Jonas would at least push Al-Shaair because I like Al-Shaair, but I would love to have 4 linebackers that are at that level.
I would absolutely love to have 4 linebackers that are at that level. And David Campbell, we appreciate the IT tech support, my guy. It's a pretty small operation over here. And unfortunately, the editing guru sometimes isn't a guru. Sometimes he's a buffoon. So he screwed up a little bit today, but you know what? Hey, we're back up, right? Everything's running smooth now, and that's all that matters.
It's right.
We got the cutback crew.
Hey, we don't keep completion percentage on this channel. You make mistakes, and then you execute after that. We made a mistake. Now we're going to bounce back, and we're going to be right on it. We're going to throw a touchdown pass with this episode.
Best preseason preview show that we've ever done. No comment to the fact that it's the first one.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. There's always going to be hiccups when you're doing things, and you just got to roll with it. We've done that. We're good to go, and it's 49ers football time. I mean, how excited is everyone? I know I woke up today wishing it was Saturday because I'm ready to get into this. I'm ready for this game to happen. Did you see that they kind of talked about Nick Bosa's timeline now? Yeah. So Kyle Shanahan put the timeline on. I was kind of right. So I feel good about that.
What a surprise. Ant was right yet again. Get used to it, cutback crew. He's going to say at some point, see, this thing is, he hasn't done anything crazy yet. Ant hasn't said anything crazy yet. When Ant says something crazy, though, it's actually funny because there's a good opportunity or good chance that it's going to end up being right, and it's actually frustrating.
Depending on how much sleep I got.
That is true. Delusional Ant is still my favorite Ant.
Yeah.
Delusional Ant is still my favorite Ant of all time. But luckily for y'all, you don't have to deal with Delusional Ant. No Delusional Ant here, even though he's hilarious. Megan with the $19 super chat. My Lord almighty
Thanks,
woman.
Megan. Appreciate it.
We gonna start the support early. Go Niners. Cheers to everyone celebrating the W tomorrow. Let's hope it's a W tomorrow. You like that, but it's also preseason, and it is what it is.
The W will be if our guys play well.
Trey Lance executes.
Yeah.
Second team O-line looks great.
As far as score, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that these guys execute. Ambry Thomas plays well. Deommodore Lenoir shows up and plays well.
Yes.
Banks shows more than he showed so far. Same with Jalen Moore. If we see development out of those guys, and then we see continued health out of our starters, I think that's what we're looking for tomorrow. Preseason wins, they don't really matter. What matters is the individual battles, getting wins in those situations. Aaron Banks needs to win more than he loses. Trey Lance needs to make the right reads and be competitive. Trey Sermon and Elijah Mitchell need to get it done on the ground. If they do that stuff, it's going to be exciting. And that running back room may be the most exciting to watch on offense for the mere fact that it's one of the most competitive rooms in the entire roster and the entire team.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of the more competitive rooms. And there's a lot of rooms that are competitive for this team, and there's a lot of positions that we want to see. And that was another thing that I wanted to watch tomorrow, and I think the faithful should be keeping an eye on, is that running back room. And Elijah Mitchell specifically. I want to see how he looks, because most likely he's going to be working with that third team. I want to see him get some reps with that second team. But I feel like Gallman's got the stranglehold on that opportunity in that role. Trey Sermon is probably going to get some carries with that second unit as well.
He will, yeah.
And then you're going to get JaMychal Hasty, who up until day 13 of training camp, it looked like they were kind of splitting back and forth. And then JaMychal Hasty was operating with that second team in practice on day 13. So whether or not that's signs of what to expect for Saturday, I would imagine that it is. You could probably going to see JaMychal Hasty going in before Elijah Mitchell. But just as Patriots fans saw yesterday with Ramondre Stevenson busting a big fat run at the end of the game, I want to see if Elijah Mitchell can have a big impact on this offense and bust some big runs. Because if he has, and he can do those things, that's good news and good signs for the 49ers moving forward.
And he's looked good. I mean, we've saw him 3 times now, and you know as well as I do that when we went to the Saturday practice at Levi's, that I told you that he was the most impressive running back to me that day. He had a forward lean to when he was running. He was a slasher out there. He was getting it done. He was one step and go, one cut and go. He looked very clean, and I liked it a lot. So, I think he's going to be an impressive player to watch. How much they get the ball to him outside, out of the backfield. Will be fun too, and also the kind of the breakup, right, of how they use him. Are they going to use him exclusively in the outside zone area, or is he going to be running some on the inside with the inside zone, the gap scheme, whatever they dial up? That will be also pretty interesting and curious. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they break it out, how they break up the snaps. I think you're right. I think Elijah Mitchell will probably get the snaps like in the fourth quarter, and I think the other guys will kind of split it up. Mostert won't get very many carries. He'll be in with that first team, and then Trey Sermon a little bit after that, and then you'll see Gallman, and then Hasty, and then Elijah Mitchell. So everyone's going to get a fair shake. I think all the running backs are going to get carries in this game, and it'll be a fun battle to watch. No different than what we're going to see from receivers, where there are tons of receivers that have an opportunity to make this roster.
Absolutely the case, my guy. Absolutely the case indeed. I really want to see just how they utilize him, what he's being utilized as, and what capacity and what, sense, just a lot of the things that Elijah Mitchell can add to this offense. It's going to take some time, obviously, to see it all and to digest it all, but I want to get a little taste, right? I don't want to have to wait too long. I'm anxious to watch him out there operating with this team and doing some of the things that he's already shown he can do in camp and the vision, especially the vision. Because with that third team, there's no guarantees that you're going to have, great lanes or great alleyways to runs, or even necessarily the right places, right? You scheme up something towards the 6 hole or the 5 hole, and something happens and a guy crashes in and a guy blitzes and someone picks it up and creates an opportunity for a bounce or a jump cut the other direction. A cutback lane opens up. No pun intended. No reference to the channel intended there. But something happens, and I want to see that vision on display. I want to see that contact balance. I want to see him catching the ball out of the backfield. All of those things I want to be able to digest and take a look at, because it's going to be important. Because if something ever happens to Raheem Mostert, the speed aspect he's going to have to try and bring to that table.
Yeah, and you're going to see a complete base offense. I mean, they're not going to run anything spectacular, anything special. This is going to be, basically 49ers install 101. They're going to go out there and run a base offense, a base defense, and let their players try to execute at a high level. Don't make them think too much. Just go out there and play, because they want to see who can execute. That is going to be the key for these guys, is to not make mistakes. In the end, you are going to find out which team has a better, overall roster depth-wise, because if the 49ers, for instance, on offense, are able to move the ball with that third unit, the offensive line is dominating, you're able to run the ball, that your offensive line is superior to the Chiefs, third-string defensive line, which doesn't mean a lot when you're cutting down to 53, but this is their opportunity to make plays, and I think that's part of the exciting thing. There's always somebody, Alex, that steps up and comes out of nowhere that you weren't expecting, that ends up, being a big-time player on your team. And I just look back at all the years, and there's always somebody that comes out of nowhere, and you're like, wait a second, where did that guy come from? And then he ends up making an impact on your team. And that's what we get to see in the preseason, is these guys that are going to eventually make an impact on the team. It doesn't mean it'll be tomorrow, but it means eventually you're going to see some sort of development, and these guys are going to be impact players on your team. I'm hoping it's one of these guys that we got as rookies. I'm hoping it's one of them, but I'll take anyone at this point that could be a key contributor to this team.
I just want key contributors. I mean, key contributors make this team deeper. They make them. It makes it more sound overall and gives us more options. But you're right. Every year there's someone that kind of comes out of nowhere. Whether it was Dre Greenlaw a few years back, right? Jermichael Hasty had his moments last year where he kind of stood out, and we actually ended up needing to rely on him. Right? He had to come in and be a guy that we could count on. Kendrick Bourne has done that as well at times. There's a guy who when we first brought him in and had him around, I didn't expect anything from him, and he eventually became our wide receiver 3. It wasn't obviously the happiest day of my life, but it ended up being the case nonetheless. So this is a thing every year in the preseason where you end up seeing somebody step up and have to play a role and do something for this team eventually at some point during the season. Could be a running back, could be a corner, could be a safety. There's tons of positions for this team. Could be an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. There are tons of positions where there's a lot of depth and a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
But a guy that I'm really looking forward to watching tomorrow, Charlie Warner. because he's put together some good days in camp as a receiver, and that was his big issue and his big problem. I've seen some positive things out of him. Now I want to see those same positive things out of him in the run game with him blocking and against this Chiefs secondary.
Yeah, if he could put it all together, he's going to make this roster. I think he has the upper hand to make the team, but there definitely were big questions about him in the receiving game. We've seen him make some catches now being out at training camp, and he looked good. He's sitting down in the zone and making the catch, getting upfield. So those things are nice. I seen Jay Ellie asking about, I think it was Jay Ellie that asked about Michael Kendricks because he's coming in for a workout.
Sure.
And he's wanting to know what we think about that. I think that is the point, right? They're having the linebacker issues. Flanagan Foles was already underperforming in training camp, and then he got into concussion protocol. And he didn't get into concussion protocol by making a good play. He got in there by hitting someone high, helmet to helmet, and kind of getting knocked back a little bit. So I think that there is room for another linebacker. I've thought it from the beginning. I was kind of surprised they were going with who they were going with. I am excited about Jonas Griffith, but I don't know if I'm excited enough not to take a look at other linebackers to see what we got. We haven't seen a whole lot from James Burgess. We haven't seen a ton of development from Marcel Harris as far as, run fits and that kind of thing. He looks okay, but we haven't seen him take people to the ground. So there are big questions for the linebacker room, so it makes sense for them to keep investigating, keep bringing guys in to adjust this room until they get it the best they possibly can.
And this is a guy who's, when he's been healthy, he averages about 60 to 70 tackles a season. So this is a guy who knows how to be in the right spot and can bring people down. By no means is he going to be, a star with this defense or anything crazy. But he's 30 years old. He's going to be, this is a guy who's 30. He's played a lot of games in this league, started a lot of games in this league. He understands this system as well, seeing as he was in Seattle for the last few years in 2018 and 2019. So to an extent, he understands some of the basics.
Oh, he does,
So you're not going to have to spend as much time teaching him things, which is another positive in your direction. You can get him out on the field a little bit sooner, get him into base sets and see how he functions and operates with this team, which as a coach, great, because that's less micromanaging you have to do.
Yeah, and they might feel more comfortable having him out there on the roster, especially if you're starting to think that you're going to cut a Flanagan Foles or something like that. If you're starting to think that way, you need to make sure you have a guy that you feel secure with, whether it's him or Jonas, until Alshire gets back. Alshire's been working out at practice. We've seen him on the side field. He looks good as far as, he's getting back there, but he has to get all the way healthy. I know first game is still up in the air whether he's going to be ready. So they have to make the decision if they feel comfortable starting a Marcel Harris or starting a Jonas Griffith alongside Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, because the Lions are going to try to run the football on them when they get to week 1, and they're going to have to be prepared for it. They're going to have to play a lot of 4-3 base downs, base sets. They're not going to be able to run the nickel, or not as much. They'll run it, but just not as much. So it'll be interesting where they go with this. If he checks out, I wouldn't be shocked if they sign him, because obviously they haven't had enough from James Burgess, because we've been out there and we haven't seen Burgess in there in that second unit. He's been relegated to the third unit. And so right now he doesn't look like he's an actual option to come in there and start, in case of an injury. He has experience and he doesn't look terrible on film, but he's definitely not cracked that top 5, top 6 linebackers.
He is in trouble. He's going to have to put something on tape that's impressive in this upcoming game, because he is not operating in that second group, which is where you think he would be operating when you have Alshire and Flanagan Foles not in there. You would think he'd be bumped up in there with Jonas Griffith, and that just hasn't been the case. And Jonas Griffith has continued to elevate his stock and his status, which has surprised me. I know it hasn't surprised you as much because you've been a guy who's been on maybe not the Jonas Griffith bandwagon, but has believed that if this guy could put it together, that this guy has an opportunity just because he's different than a lot of the linebackers we have, right? The size, the physicality, the big, strong, body who can go in there and just be that physical dominant presence at the linebacker position. I was expecting that he was going to have a great camp, and he has so far. I didn't expect that aspect of him to show up and turn out. So I'm excited to see him in this game and see what he can continue to do. But the rest of these linebackers are going to have to start stepping up and showing something. Marcel Harris it's an unfortunate situation being tossed into this position, in this situation where you're being asked to change positions. But this is an opportunity and a chance for him to show that he can contribute to this team in an area that's a strength of his, which is being in the box, making tackles, making plays close to the line of scrimmage. He's going to have to do that at a high level starting tomorrow.
Yes, and I want to see Jonas Griffith start.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to see him out there. He will stand out. People will recognize him right away. Number 53 out there. He will stand out as far as his height. He's every bit as tall as Fred Warner, but he's got a little bit more size to him. He originally came out of college, he was like over 260 pounds. He's definitely slimmed up. I don't know where he's at now. If I had to guess, he's somewhere in the 250s. But he looks quick, he looks fast. His question was always, how would he do in coverage? Because he's good blitzer. He was good at playing around the line of scrimmage. I know I joke sometimes, but he was actually a tackling machine in college. He was very good. And now I want to see how he's able to play in these fits with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. And no one gets more excited when Jonas makes a play than Fred Warner.
True.
Fred Warner definitely thinks there's something there. And I know he's super good friends with Al-Shaair, but I think that if those four guys could pan out, that would be really good for the 49ers, especially if it was those four. And then the fifth guy was Marcel Harris, a guy that has a lot of flexibility, the hybrid role, who can play special teams. So I think it is important for Jonas to come out there and play really well. And let's see how he does in these run fits, because maybe we already have a very talented linebacker that maybe people just don't understand is there yet.
Very, very, very true, and I'm excited to see it as well. Tanya talked about how excited she is for Trey Lance. I think that's the big thing to watch. I mean, right, we talked about it being the first thing, being the thing to watch tomorrow, but it can't be undersold and understated. This is the first time that anyone is really getting to see Trey Lance play an actual football game in any sort of shape or capacity since essentially his national championship game in 2019. He played the one game in 2020. Not really a whole lot there. This is his first time playing against high-level competition. It was probably going to be a raucous and packed Levi Stadium that's going to go absolutely bananas when this guy walks out there and jogs out for his first snap. That environment is going to be crazy in and of itself. But just being able to see him operate this offense, seeing how comfortable he looks in the pocket, seeing just his ability to extend the plays, right, read the field, decipher coverages, see what's going on. There's not going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on. The Chiefs aren't going to do anything, that he isn't prepared for. But tomorrow it counts a little bit. For the first time, it actually counts a little bit.
Well, he's going to get to adapt to the speed of the game.
That too.
The NFL is a different beast because everyone is the top 1% of the guys that he's win against. All these guys are really good, and so now everything changes. And when you think you have somebody open in the NFL, they're not. And so he's going to have to adjust to that, and that's part of the fun of watching it is he might go out there and just absolutely blow everyone away because he's looked good at training camp when we've been there. He has moments where he struggles. That's another reason why it's exciting, because he struggled in the move the ball segments. And you know what this is, the game? A move the ball segment. Everything is about that. Everything's about down and distance, about the play calls, going against this defense. So we're going to get to see him operate. And yes, he's going to move around the pocket and he's going to do well. I have faith in this guy, but I think this is the first time that everyone, all the 49ers faithful, get to see what people have been seeing at training camp. Some of it a little overblown, some of it not blown up enough. I think we're kind of in that middle ground where we've seen great things from him and we've seen some things where we understand he's a rookie and he's growing. And now we get to see how much he's grown just during these 2 weeks of training camp. And if he can really go out there and tear it up, I think he can.
I think he can too. And I expect some great things from him from tomorrow, and I expect some concerning things tomorrow. Not like red flag, oh my gosh, concerning, but I do expect him to make some mistakes. And this is what I'm afraid of as a 49ers fan, is that you have too many fans and too many of the faithful who have drawn battle lines and are taking sides over this. And it's like, this you shouldn't. There's no reason to in this scenario, because Shanahan has already established what's going on and what the plan is this year, what the Shanahan plan is, which if you didn't watch that video, you should go check that out, because maybe that'll help you get off of picking a side and get more where the cutback is and the cutback crew has been, which is it's both these guys, Jimmy and Trey.
Yeah.
Do it after the live stream, though. Don't do it now. That's fine. Look, and so I'm worried about that, because I still see people saying no matter what Jimmy starts and no matter what Trey starts, and it's like, folks, it at the end of the day, you should want both of these guys to have success, because even if one ends up taking over as the permanent starter, the other guy is still there. Meaning if at any point in time someone drops off, someone gets hurt or anything like that, the other one's going to have to come in.
True.
And take snaps and take reps. So I want both guys to succeed. I mean, if everyone can flash back in time to last season, right? Jimmy goes down. He goes down early week 3. Things aren't looking good, right? Mullins comes in. Goes down week 2. Mullins comes in week 3 against the Jets and the Giants.
The Giants.
And has that big win. And you and I talked about, if Jimmy doesn't have to be out for an extended period of time, Nick Mullins We believe he can get it done. We got faith that Nick Mullins can get it done.
For a couple games.
And we put faith in Nick Mullins to get it done for a couple of games. And he got one game done and should have had a second game and,
lost to the Eagles.
Literally threw it away to the Eagles. Literally gave it to him.
Still don't know how he missed juice on that first. It would have been
the first wheel route. Oh, my Lord. That would have, honestly, if he probably makes that throw, it probably changes the entire momentum of that game.
It does change the entire momentum of the game. The 49ers are playing from ahead. They would have won that football game. Those are plays you can't miss on. No. Now we have a quarterback room that they're not going to miss on.
Correct.
Because Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, and Sudfeld can all get it done.
Accurate.
Josh Rosen's a little erratic. I'm just going to keep that. If you watch the highlights of Josh Rosen in practice, if we put a highlight reel out there, you would think this guy is all world. The problem is you have to watch the rest of it too.
Correct.
And those he just looks abysmal. He's bad.
He's really bad.
So he's the all over the place guy. The other three are pretty consistent. They do it well. Of course, Sudfeld doesn't do it at the level of the other two guys, but he does have a big arm and he's able to play pretty consistent. So that is nice. I seen Jag asking about something about Trey Lance. What did he say?
I'll have to try and pull it up here.
He said, do you guys think Lance might get to play with the first offensive line? Kyle Shanahan said no. He said he was going to pull. That was a little interesting to me because a lot of times they would keep that first team offensive line in, but since they're not, maybe they just feel like they want to protect all of them. He gets to get to work with this second offensive line. So the question is, are people concerned that Trey's going to get hurt? I've seen some people saying, but this is going to get Trey hurt. I mean, I don't think he's going to get hurt. But
can we be honest here? What do we know about Shanahan, right? If he's got questions or concerns about Trey being able to stand in the pocket and throw or things of that nature, he's just going to run the football. So let's say that first drive of Jimmy's lasts 6 minutes. Right? Let's say it's a 6-minute drive. We go down and kick a field goal. Let's just say, right? Hypothetical. 6-minute drive, they go down the field, score the football. Let's say, right after that, you have Patrick Mahomes who comes out there, right? And he puts together a quick scoring drive. They go down in like 2 minutes or 3 minutes and puts the ball in the end zone, right? You already got half the quarter gone. Trey's coming in. If the first drive, Trey's dropping back to pass and getting whacked in 2 steps because the second team O-line can't handle it, do you really think that Shanahan is going to continue to call dropbacks and just have Trey just drop straight back in coverage? Or do you think that the next time the Niners get the ball in that first quarter, there's going to be a heavy run scheme where they come in running the ball heavy to try and make sure that Trey isn't getting whacked?
It depends on why he got whacked.
Well, let's say there's no blitzing, right? It's just 4-on-4, 5-on-5 blocking scheme, and you just got guys getting beat.
Yeah, so what he's just going to do is max protect.
Yeah.
He will just keep more guys in the block, and then other guys will have to win one-on-one battles on the outside. That's what he'll do. He's not going to go too crazy with it. I think that they have a set plan. That's why he was able to speak about how people are going to play. They've decided now how this is going to go. Trey's not going to play with the first team. Kyle could always change his mind if he does. Okay, that's fine too. But he's being pretty set in stone on what he's doing. It will be interesting to see how Trey does in this game and how it correlates to what Trey ultimately gets to do in the second week of preseason. Could this lead to him playing with the first team offense some? Could this lead to him getting out there and playing more snaps? I think it could, but he has to do well, and he's going to have to do a lot of things because they're going to blitz him. The Chiefs will blitz him, and they're going to try to confuse him, and he's going to have to make hot reads, and he's going to have to get the ball out quickly. He's going to have to recognize where the blitz is coming from. He's going to have to help with protection calls because he doesn't have Alex Mack in there making those protection calls.
Accurate.
So there's going to be some adjustment. There's going to be some growing pains, but he has the ability to get it done. I think the best circumstance for us is Jimmy Garoppolo leads an opening drive touchdown, and then Trey Lance comes in there and just smokes it after that. I think that's the best situation for us. What I'm actually expecting is not that. I'm expecting, for the first team offense to look decent, maybe even a 3-and-out, possibly. It's either going to be that or I do think Trey will have ups and downs, though, in this game.
I agree with you there completely. He's going to have ups and downs, but the point I was trying to make was fans got to have a little bit more faith in Kyle Shanahan. You're not going to throw your brand new Ferrari out there and tell it to go, jump 50 cars. It's not going to happen. You're going to take care of the brand new toy that you got and make sure that you have the brand new toy to play with for a long time. So just
But you know how tempting it is to open that. If you got the brand new Ferrari, you got to open it up on the freeway, right?
No, 100%.
You got to see what it can do.
I'm not saying you don't open it up on the freeway.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't put the pedal to the metal and see if you can't go 0 to 60 in 0.25 seconds. You got to try, but you're not going to just let it stand out there in the rain and take a beating. When you just got this thing, you're going to put that thing in the car, right? You're going to buff it out. You're going to wax it. You're going to make it look all nice and pretty and shine for everybody because you want to show it off. But you don't want to beat it up on day one that you first had it. You got years to put miles on this thing. You don't got to put all the miles on in one game. And Shanahan knows that. Shanahan's not going to do it.
Yeah, what's up, Jay in the Bay? We want to say what's up to our guy,
what's
Jay.
What's good?
Yeah, what's good?
What's good?
I mean, you're right. You're right that he's not going to go crazy as preseason.
You're going to say to an extent?
No, I was going to say you're not going to go crazy with him in this game.
Thank goodness. I thought
you were
about to throw me under the bus.
No. I see Demonic Angel with the super chat.
Oh my goodness.
He said, "I've heard Max struggles in one-on-ones. If it's true, do you see that as an issue, being that the center is a part of the unit and not normally on an island?" That's exactly why I don't think it's that big of an issue. We saw him struggle a little bit in the one-on-ones. In fact, the day that it was the biggest emphasis on social media was the Tuesday practice that we were there. He went 0 for 5 in those one-on-one situations, and then when he got into team, he looked really good. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't understand the he's old, he's slow, he can't do good, because then when he got into team situations, he was passing guys off, he was picking up blitzes, he was making the right calls. When it comes to centers, they're not going to have a lot of times when they're on one-on-one islands. The tackles, yes. The guards sometimes, but the centers don't have that many times that they are. They're doing a lot of pickups. He is going to be just fine. I think that this was a little bit of a over-the-top reaction to him struggling. And when you're watching one-on-ones for offensive linemen, it's always an overreaction, because it is hard to win one-on-one battles consistently, no matter if you're a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. So offensive linemen don't have an advantage in these one-on-ones like they do in a game. In a game, the defender doesn't know if it's a run or if it's a pass or what the snap count is. In a one-on-one situation, they usually know what the snap count is. They know exactly what play's coming, because it's always pass. So the one-on-ones are definitely not designed to be an offensive lineman's best friend.
The opposite. They're designed to be an offensive lineman's worst nightmare, and you're really testing their fortitude and their ability to execute at a high level, despite the fact that they have the deck stacked against them. I mean, that's really what's going on in one-on-ones. It's a similar thing, typically, one-on-ones for DBs.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback knows what the route is, the receiver knows what the route is, and the DB's playing blind. He has no clue what you're doing or where you're going. And also in a one-on-one, you're being asked to cover the whole field. You have to be able to take pretty much any sort of route away, whereas in a game situation, you may be playing man, but you also may have help to certain sides of the field. You may have help on the deep half. You may have help coming over the middle. So even if you're a step behind, if you get a good bump, right, you get good contact, you may be able to force the guy off of his initial line on his route and move him into an area where he's going to be going into or running into areas where there's another defender to help you out as well. So, one-on-ones, just typically, someone in a one-on-one situation has a disadvantage, so you can't look too much into it, but it is a great way to test, right? To test what you can do in those situations, because there will be times where you are asked to be put on an island one-on-one by yourself, not so much necessarily on the line, but definitely at the skill positions.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. And unfortunately, with all these positions, you're going to get them seen in different, precarious situations where they're going to be out there and they're going to be asked to kind of, play on islands and play in weird situations in the preseason, because it's not all about scheme. When it's about scheme, you have opportunities to confuse the opponent. You're not going to get that so much from this. So, I mean, yeah, I saw all these one-on-ones. We watched the one-on-ones a lot, but we didn't also break down any of the one-on-ones, like as far as receivers either. Like we didn't give anyone too much props for beating, a DB one-on-one. It didn't look good. We didn't think that was a way to go about it. We went mainly off what we saw in 11-on-11s, because that's the closest to real football that you're going to get. One-on-ones is different. I mean, some of the great basketball players one-on-one, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great basketball player when you're playing a team game, because it's so much different. And that's the same with football. One-on-one is great, but It's all about 11 on 11, everyone playing together.
Don't get me started on J.R. Smith, and you don't want to do it at all whatsoever. Niner Joe Empire had asked, too, he'd heard from I think it was Hammer.
Jack Hammer, yeah.
From Jack Hammer, that Trey is outplaying Jimmy and that if you put him with the ones, he's going to light it up. I wouldn't say that Trey is outplaying Jimmy. Trey in areas, outplays Jimmy. In the red zone, Trey has looked better than Jimmy has.
Correct.
In move the ball drills, Jimmy has looked better than Trey has at
Correct.
times. When they're in blitz packages and situations, there were days where Jimmy looked better than Trey, and there were days where Trey was able to take advantage and make big plays. So they've had their moments. They've fed off each other, and this has kind of been the point we've been making and we've been talking about for a while now, is that they, right now, together, make up for the other one's faults. When one is struggling in another area, the other one tends to thrive, or has typically thrived, and vice versa. So having a way to get them both on the field so that way you can take advantage of the things that they're both doing well is just a good idea for the 49ers. And it's better. It's a better situation than when you have in New Orleans with the Saints and the Taysom Hill comparisons, because Trey Lance is a significantly better thrower of the football than Taysom Hill, whether that's intermediate, short, and especially deep.
Yeah. Yes. When you're talking about the way that they work together, they complement each other, because
Accurate.
Jimmy Garoppolo is not the best down the field passer, right? I mean, he has his moments. Trey Lance is fantastic. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the best at scrambling and working outside the pocket. Trey Lance is fantastic. Trey Lance isn't the best at operating in the middle of the field. Jimmy Garoppolo is fantastic there. And then also in the red zone, where Trey Lance is also another guy that does really well. But the overall operation of the offense, finding the hot routes, getting the ball out quickly, those things go to Jimmy Garoppolo. So these guys do, kind of help each other out as far as they really are a nice match, as far as you can take advantage of both skill sets and put yourself in, great positions to be successful. So, I mean, that's why we've kind of come around to them using a 2-quarterback system this year for certain situations, because it makes the most sense. It doesn't sell a lot of clicks.
No.
Like, it's not going to get you a lot of clicks saying that, because that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear it's Jimmy, or they want to hear it's Trey. But when we've been at practice, this is what we've seen, is they're more comparable than people think. Trey still has things he's learning. He's still learning these hots. He's still learning how to, these blitzes, where they're coming from, and these different coverages. And then when they get into, the 11 on 11 move the ball, he struggles a little bit. And that's the closest thing you're going to get to real football. He makes explosive plays down the field. That is 100%. And everyone oohs and ahs over those plays, me included. But those plays don't consistently win you football games, because a lot of the times when we saw Trey make those plays, the drive ended up stalling out. So we need to see a lot from him still. I think it's too early for us to expect him to have grown that much in this short period of time. So I think over the course of preseason, we're going to see exactly what their plan is. And then I think eventually we're going to see both of them playing in games.
True. Jack had 2 great questions, too, that he just brought up. He had brought up, when are first cuts happening? When is it going on? It's next Tuesday, the 17th.
Yeah.
So the 17th, that's when first cuts will happen. That's when they'll have to cut down those rosters. And then the second question was, did Shanahan talk about Ebukam as far as if he's going to play Saturday?
I have not heard him mention anything about Ebukam. I've tried to watch as much Kyle Shanahan as I can. And I haven't seen anything about Ebukam. He wasn't suited, on Thursday. He didn't go out there. So I would be surprised if he played on Saturday. I think we're more likely to see him against the Chargers.
I think that's fair. I think they're going to save him for that. And again, you had brought this up in a previous live stream, Matt. You had talked about how you're not too worried about Ebukam right now in terms of learning and understanding and knowing the system. Not a concern. He's shown he can do it. He knows the basics. He knows the base. And he's looked great when he's been out there and been healthy. Right now, it's about making sure that he is and stays and remains healthy through the rest of preseason into the regular season.
Yeah, him, Bosa, Ford. Let's make sure those guys are healthy. I don't think we're going to see much Kinlaw in this game either. Let's keep all these guys fresh, healthy, so when we get into the regular season, these guys can go out there and tear it up.
Absolutely. They need to tear it up. We need them to get that done. We want to see it. We need that in our lives. I need that energy. But look, I mean, there's tons of things, right? There's tons of things that are still happening and still going on in this game that aren't Trey, that aren't going to be going on. It's going to be fun to see Patrick Mahomes out there going against this 49ers defense on that first drive. You don't think so at all? You're not excited about seeing Patrick Mahomes versus Fred Warner?
I'm never excited to see Patrick Mahomes. Forget that guy.
Forget that guy? Oh, come on. I want to see Fred tear it up. I want to see Fred on that first drive get a nice pick six.
Oh, Fred's going to tear it up, but there's going to be one drive of this 49ers defense probably.
Probably.
Yeah, no, what I'd really love is for us to get a real shot at these guys when we have the full defensive line out there.
In the Super Bowl?
And, well, I'll take it anytime, but that'd be wonderful as well because I want to see Nick Bosa when he doesn't have to be held. If let him get to the quarterback. And this year, good luck with Kansas City being able to. I mean, Kansas City made some offensive line adjustments, but this speed of this pass rush is going to be fun. I'd love to see them going against Patrick Mahomes when it's for real, because I don't think we're going to get everything we can of All-Pro Fred and this first team defense for those probably 3 plays where they shut them down and get off the field, and then that'll be it.
It's very true. Luke, my saying has always been that J.R. Smith was a poor man's Jamal Crawford. That's always been my take. I will stick with it. So do I like Jamal Crawford? A lot more than I like J.R. Smith. We'll leave it at that. Back to football. Get off that other sport. We don't need to talk about that here. Yeah. We ain't here for that.
I don't even know what that is.
No, Ant doesn't even watch it. He doesn't even know. It's right over him.
Yeah.
Right over him.
I gave up on Orange Ball a long time ago.
He really, truly did. Ant, though, I think it's time to introduce the newest folks of the Cutback crew to one of our favorite segments. It's a segment that is only specifically for our preview shows. We're giving it to you today. We're bringing it back for the first time since week 17 of last season. And it's time for Wow, That's Bold.
Wow, that's really bold.
Whoa, it's Super Bowl time. Wow, that's bold. It's back, baby. I love it. It's our favorite intro of all time, Ant.
Really bold.
Whoa. It's time to get really bold right now here on the Cutback, on the 49ers Cutback, on this preview live stream. So make sure you hit that like button right now and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because it's time for Wow, That's Bold, in which we give you the boldest of takes for this game tomorrow versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Ant, what do you got first? We'll stick on the... I don't know if you want to do offense.
I think we should do an offense and a defense.
I like it. I like the fact that you want to do both. We're on the same page. Let's start with your offensive Wow, That's Bold for tomorrow. Ant, let the Cutback crew know what you got.
Yeah, I'm going to let everyone know that most of the time our Wow, That's Bold don't come true. There are cases where they do come true.
It's true.
Last year, I predicted that Eric Armstead would have 2 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys. He had 2 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys. Exactly. I know we've hit a few of them, but just so people know, these don't always come true. That's why they're Wow, That's Bold. If we were just saying bold, it would be different. My Wow, That's Bold is going to be that one of these receivers is going to step up in a big way. I'm going with Juwan Jennings to have 2 touchdowns in this game.
Woo! That is bold. And Juwan Jennings in particular, are they going to both be from Trey Lance?
No.
Oh, a little bit at one from Trey and one from Suddy?
Suddy's getting a tutty with Juwan Jennings. That's 100%.
Suddy? Oh my Lord Almighty! Just for that, sorry, I got to hit the tutty emote. We got to hit the tutty emote for everybody.
We're going to acknowledge him after this touchdown.
Caleb's getting super excited right now.
For sure.
You know it. Look, I like that one a lot. I enjoy what that one is and what that one is about there with Juwan Jennings with the 2 tutties. It's a great one there. My Wow, That's Bold is going to be for the offense. It's going to be for the running back room. And it's going to be specifically for my guy, Elijah Mitchell, who is going to score 2 tutties as well. But it isn't going to be just rushing the football. Oh, no! This man is going to have a receiving touchdown tomorrow, as well as a rushing touchdown, and almost 100 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter. Okay. He is going to go off, folks. Elijah Mitchell. Bank it, except probably don't bank it because it is Wow, That's Bold, and that's a bold take.
Yeah, I like that. I like when you go bold, and you usually go very specific with your bold takes.
Usually, we should change it to Wow, That's really specifically bold, but it's fine.
Yeah, I like to leave mine not so specifically bold, but you definitely go all in on specifically bold. So I mean, and then defensively, this one's not gonna be hard. I don't think for anyone to figure out. I'm gonna say that Jonas Griffith is the player of the game on defense. As far as I think he will have 8+ tackles, and I think 1 sack.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I enjoy that take. I'm going to go with Eddie Yarborough. Okay. And I'm going to say Eddie Yarborough.
That's solid.
Eddie Yarborough is going to finish tomorrow's preseason game with 1.5 sacks and at least a handful. We'll go with 3 pressures on the quarterback. May end up in hits, may not, but 3 pressures on the quarterback with 1.5 sacks. And however many snaps he ends up getting, because I think he's going to be probably operating with that second group. So he may get a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, a little smidge of Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he won't have as much success there, or who knows? Maybe he gets his half sack against Patrick Mahomes. You never know. But Eddie Yarborough, I like the things that he's doing, and I expect him to continue that performance heading into tomorrow's preseason game.
And I would like to say, hey to Frank, thank you so much for that. Putting us in the company with those guys is impressive, so we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So much, so thank you for that.
My goodness.
Yeah, I think that these are, Eddie Yarborough has showed what he can do. He looked good that first Saturday we saw him at Levi's, and then since then he's looked good every single time we've been at camp. He's not played to the level he played at Levi's, but he's consistently been a problem off the edge. So I think that's a solid one to go there. I think our wow that's bolds are not so wow. They're bold. They could actually happen.
Oh my Lord Almighty, Kenny! None of that now, Kenny. Oh my Lord, come on, my guy.
Hey, you know what? I expect nothing less from Kenny.
Jesus, Kenny, that's just a lot, my guy.
This is kind of how Kenny rolls.
This has been Kenny for a long time.
Yeah,
this has been Kenny for a long time. But look, those are all good. I'm excited about those wow that's bolds, and because while they are a stretch, obviously they are bold, in its execution and how likely it is and how possible it is. They are things that we want to see from certain players because these are players who have had good days at camp so far. These are guys that we've seen have success. And so we think these guys could translate and put something on the field. This would be best case scenario for all of these guys.
Yeah.
So if it happens, it's great for them and it's great for this team. If it doesn't happen, it is what it is. And you get a little bit more insight into where these guys are individually and where the group is individually. Because just because one of these guys doesn't go off for a receiving and a rushing touchdown and almost 100 yards of total offense doesn't mean that someone else might not do it. Let's just hope that it's actually my guy, so I'm actually right about one of these wow that's bolds. I would appreciate it. Elijah Mitchell, what's up? How you doing? Come on over. Let's have some fun. You can come chat with us after that performance as well.
I do like the Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell's awesome. So I think as far as the younger guys, him and Jawan Jennings are two that I kind of gravitate towards. That I like. I want both of them to do well, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in this game for sure.
True. Brad had a question. Hey, boys, just woke up, so might have missed it. Are you guys going to be going to the game or any chance you are live streaming watching the game? Not going to be at the game tomorrow. We will not do any live streaming before or during the game. We will do probably a little bit of a reaction show immediately after, but we have our game recap show that is going to be coming out. I believe it's going to be coming out on Sunday. It may be.
It's going to come out on Sunday.
Okay,
yeah.
Sunday. So we just confirmed that. There you go. So Sunday, you're going to have our recap show, our typical recap show that we normally put out and produce. Whether or not it's live or not, I don't think it will be, but we'll see. But you will for sure get a little bit of a reaction from the game on Sunday. It won't be very long because we got to save all of that great recapping of the game for our typical recap show.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll be able to get into the game a little bit. We'll probably end up getting more into it than we expect to get into it because we're passionate about football and we're going to end up talking about it. There's going to be a lot of fun things to talk about, and hopefully everyone brings their questions and things to that live stream after the game so we can really get into it. Because I think it's going to be a fun watch, especially if people stick it out till the very end. A lot of times people will turn it off during preseason, but I think we can keep it going and get excited about this. Hopefully Trey and Trey and Elijah and Ambry and Diamador and all these guys Talanoa have great performances. So we have a lot to talk about because if these rookies step up to the potential that they have and they start proving in these preseason games, this 49er team is even better than we thought it was.
Oh, man, really, really better if that happens, man. I'm just excited to see what happens with it. And Cutback Crew, this is now your chance. We've kind of gotten through our things to watch. We've gone through our Wow That's Bold. So if you have any Q&A about tomorrow's game, anything that we got coming up for you throughout the season, now is, oh my Lord Almighty. Well, our Q&A screen is here. Look at that.
That was interesting.
Well, that was fun.
It was a blackout.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a blackout for a second, but we back and everything is all good and everything is going to be fine. So hopefully, well, looks like the chat is now frozen on that. So you know what? Rest in spaghetti Q&A room. We're gonna stick in here because the Q&A screen for whatever reason is a little buggy today. Thank you, tech support. We really appreciate it. And David, hopefully that $4.99 from earlier we'll help with the tech support and get that up and running.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything at all whatsoever that you guys want to ask regarding tomorrow's game, regarding anything that's coming up on the channel, now is the time. Let it fly. We got a lot of good content, a lot of good questions here, hopefully, to get to with all of you.
Yeah, and thank you, CJ. I seen he said love the show, unbiased takes. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we really do. We really do, because that's the whole point. That's what we're trying to give you guys, just the information so all of you can see what's going on and try and, come to your own conclusions on this team and come to conclusions based on actual accurate information and not just nonsense being spewed out into the ether.
Well, I like what Frank was saying too. Watch Lance and the running backs at the mesh point. This will determine the extent that he has utilized this year. 100%. If they've cleaned this up and they are clean at the mesh point and they're not going to have any problems on these read options, he's going to get to play a lot more. And I think they worked it out. He said in the presser that they got it worked out. We didn't see any more footballs put on the ground. They didn't do a lot of run game the last time we were there on Thursday. They didn't do a lot of run game.
No.
A lot of it was pass.
Yeah.
But when they did the run game, it all looked clean. It all looked good. There was a lot of good blocking. The running backs, I thought the running backs looked the cleanest we've seen, getting positive yards on almost every carry.
Agreed. They really did, and they've been looking better. And you know what? I just thought of something. And real quick, we're going to play it one more time.
Wow, that's really bold. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I just saw it come across my feed. I saw Niner Joe Empire giving his wow, that's bold take, and I thought to myself, why not let the Cutback crew get in on some of the bold action? Because this gentleman here came in with a hot one, and that's Chosen Rosen is going to light it up. That is a bold prediction, because Ant and I both think there's a chance he may not even see the field tomorrow.
It's true.
Depending on how late Trey Lance is in the game getting his 30 snaps. If he's in there a little bit later, there's a chance you won't see a bit of Josh Rosen, the chosen one. But Niner Joe Empire, he don't care. He's putting it out there right now into the ether. Chosen Rosen lights it up in the first preseason game of the season. I like that take. I like the boldness. I don't agree with the take, but I like the boldness. Respect.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that Kyle Shanahan doesn't walk up to this guy and say, sorry, Josh Rosen, we're out of time. We'll get you on the next one. But if Rosen's out there, I actually want to see Rosen play, because I want everyone to see what we were seeing at camp. The great moments where he looks spectacular, followed by whatever that is that he does next. It is all over the place, and I want people to see that inconsistency. So it's not just us talking about it, so that way it's evident too. And probably our luck, he'll go out there and completely tear it up.
He probably will. You know what the funny part will be? Niner Joe Empire's laughing there a little bit. You know what? It is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But here's the best part: is there's a chance that you could get a situation where Josh Rosen gets like 2 snaps, right? One of them's a handoff and one of them's a throw, and that throw could be the best throw that he ever makes, right? Yeah. And then you don't get to see what usually happens with Josh Rosen, which is he makes that great throw, and then there's like 3 or 4 terrible ones after that. That very well could happen, and Niner Joe Empire could then be sitting there walking into chat like Vincent Kennedy McMahon the next day, and Conor McGregor, and being like, I was totally right, and having a good time about it. That's possible. It's possible. I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but it is possible. Brad had also asked here a little earlier, how many receivers do you think that the 49ers are going to keep on the 53-man roster? And once we give him a number, Ant, he doesn't just want a number, he wants names.
I think it's going to be 6.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 6. That is usually the number that's the perfect number for them to keep. I think if they kept 7, they have to, keep one less guy at another position. I just don't think they can do that. So I think it's going to be 6.
I want to go more than 6, but I know I can't. I can't do it. I would say it's probably 6 as well. There's no world where they're keeping 5, in my opinion. It has to be 6, and I can't get myself to that point where I go that Kyle Shanahan is going to keep number 7.
Yeah.
Who would the 6 be for you?
Brandon Ayuk.
Obviously.
Deebo Samuel.
Obviously.
Mohamed Sanu.
Obviously.
Trent Sherfield.
Obviously.
Jalen Hurd.
Obviously.
Juwan Jennings. And that means I cut Travis Benjamin. And that is super hard for me to do.
Yeah, as of right now, I would say Travis Benjamin over Juwan Jennings. I would say he's number 5 or number 6, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then Juwan is gone. That's where I would be currently sitting and situated at the moment. But who knows? Time can change everything.
It's true.
And if Juwan Jennings has that 2 touchdowns and wow, that's bold prediction come true, it may flip immediately come Sunday for the recap show.
There you go.
it's going to be could possibly be the case. Look, we got some other people here talking about some stuff. Is it true that they expanded the roster to 55 from Jag?
That is correct. It's a holdover from last year. You're allowed to have 55 guys eligible to play in the game, and then you get as long as one of them is an extra lineman. If you don't keep an extra lineman, you're not allowed to have 55. So they will make sure they have an extra offensive lineman available.
True. I think so as well. That's accurate indeed. I said I think so as well because I was reading a couple of the takes and I liked what I saw there. But one that is bold, extra super bold from your boy Caleb from KNDR Collectibles. Sudfeld tears it up, takes over the official QB1 spot, and everyone will finally acknowledge him, Ant.
Well, you know what was crazy is when he said he was going to tear it up, I was thinking to myself, wow, that's not really that bold. But then he went into all the way he's taking over the number 1 spot.
Hey, Caleb, that's my shtick.
Yeah.
You quit that. You quit that now.
Yeah, and there were other people in the crowd that also are that we were at training camp ready to acknowledge Sudfeld. So Caleb is spurring this thing on because other people are starting to believe this thing. And they are actually people that people consistently read. I'm not going to put their names out there, but consistently read on Twitter and on social media. So, Sudfeld is gaining steam.
He is gaining steam. He's not gaining QB1 steam, but he's gaining steam nonetheless. Yeah. Frank Wayne Gallman, have a feeling this guy is really, really underrated.
Boom. 100% agree.
Bingo.
I love his running style. Watching him run in person is exciting. The way he presses to the line of scrimmage and then jump cuts and gets to his hole. He might fit this offense the best, which is crazy to say. That interior run game, he's really good at it. He's smooth.
Okay. I agree with you. David Campbell, bold take. Richie James doesn't fair catch a single time or let the ball hit in the ground in front of him.
Yeah, that's a bold take. Only because I know Richie needs to make plays, but if he doesn't make the right play, he's not going to make this roster. And there's going to be sometimes he has to fair catch. So
true. And Megan, Ant did give a TD prediction for Jennings. It was 2 touchdowns.
Correct.
2 tutties for Juwan Jennings. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if Ant can be accurate on his first. Wow, that's bold prediction.
It wasn't bold enough to go with 1.
That's not bold enough. That's the Diet Coke of bold.
That's kind of bold.
It's
just sort 1 calorie.
Not even enough.
No,
not even
definitely
enough.
Not.
You can't do that on Wow That's Bold. You have to go above and beyond.
You have to be really bold. Whoa.
Agreed. Jag, bold take. Elijah Mitchell will score 2 touchdowns. See, that's not as bold. It's bold, but it's not as bold.
I kind of like that one.
I do like that one.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's possible. Whoever we cut is going to Seattle or LA. Possibly. There's a good chance, especially if they're a running back.
Yeah, it depends on position. Wide receiver, also another position. And just so everyone knows, if for some reason they cut Jalen Hurd, Seattle's trying to claim that guy.
Accurate.
100%.
Accurate.
So
that's not. I don't want to see that. 49ers are going to do good. Jimmy's going to do good. I want to see Kinlaw. He's such a monster, a wrecking machine. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I also want to see Arden Key from Leroy.
Yeah, Leroy's right. Those are good. And Kinlaw is absolutely massive. I mean, I stood next to Mike McGlinchey and he makes me look small, and Kinlaw makes him look small. That guy is just a beast. I can't wait to see him out there because he really does move so good for his size. He's a physical freak of nature. He's going to cause problems for people this year. He really is. He's going to step up. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with his production.
I still have nightmares of Javon Kinlaw doing jump tucks. It's terrifying.
It was impressive, man. It really was.
It was really terrifying. The amount of athleticism in that guy's pinky. I don't even have anywhere near my whole body. It's terrifying to think because I didn't think I was that, and I didn't honestly believe I was that unathletic until I watched Javon Kinlaw just do anything, and it's like, oh my lord, he's gigantic.
He is.
I'd never be able to do that. A couple people have been asking, and I just saw Nano Joe asked it again. 3 quarterbacks or 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. This is a question that we have debated, we have discussed. We had our quarterback position battles, and we brought it up in both of them. Whether or not you roll with 2 and just stick with Jimmy and Trey, or you keep number 3 around, and if you do, who it is. I am still, based on everything that I've seen so far, I'm still in the 2 quarterback camp because you can always keep one of these guys on the practice squad. I don't think there's a big market for Nate Sudfeld or for Josh Rosen, so I don't think you would have the ability. You're not going to lose one of these 2 guys if you try and get them on the practice squad. So I would be more comfortable rolling with 2 and keeping an extra position player somewhere than going with a 3rd quarterback at this point in time. but they could change my mind.
So Alex isn't ready to acknowledge him. I think Sudfeld's done enough to make this roster.
Okay.
The question is going to be, do they need to keep somebody at another position? If they do need to keep someone at another position, then Sudfeld might be gone. But I think Kyle's going to want to keep this guy because he does have a lot of ability. He's able to operate this offense. If for some reason you lost those first two guys, Sudfeld could come in and manage the game enough for your great defense to win football games. It wouldn't be great, and you wouldn't win a lot of them, but he has an opportunity to at least do it. So I think it's closer than I originally thought when we put out our 53 before. So there's an opportunity there for Sudfeld, but it's definitely not set in stone. I'll tell you that much.
That is true. It's not set in stone, and I do like the things that I've seen from Sudfeld. It's not to take away from anything. And Caleb, I don't want you, getting your darts ready to throw at my face on a little dartboard. But at this point in time, I'm still not in a position right now where I feel comfortable wanting to let go of a position player to keep a third quarterback. And Robert,
thank you so much.
Thank you for the new subscription.
Welcome to the Cutback crew.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, you get a special hey there, my guy. You get a special hey. I love it. Look, there's a couple other really good questions too. Nina Joe Empire asked just now, does Jordan Matthews, how is he looking at his new position at tight end? He's had some moments where he's looked really good. He's had a couple of drops, nothing crazy, but he's looked pretty solid for the most part. I've seen some people talking about he can't get separation. I haven't seen him getting separation. And again, it's always for us context, right? What do you mean? What is your definition of separation? Is it putting the guy on the ground and getting 3 steps? Or is it just getting a step and having an area and creating a pocket for the quarterback to throw it to you? And I've seen enough from Jordan Matthews to be impressed, but I haven't seen enough from Jordan Matthews yet to necessarily overtake a roster spot from somebody else or even solidify himself as tight end 3.
The area where we have to watch him is in the blocking area.
Correct.
I think that he needs to improve in the blocking area so much. The pass game is there. I mean, if you're looking for a third tight end that can catch the ball, he's the best option. If you're looking for someone that can do it all, he's not yet. I think Charlie Warner is a little bit better than him at blocking, and right now is improved his pass game. So you have to decide if you want a extra blocker, a guy that's really good at that, or if you want the other guy to be a receiver. I think right now they would lean towards Charlie Warner, yes. But Jordan Matthews hasn't done anything wrong. He's played well.
Yes.
He's done enough where he's at least in the conversation. But I think if I had to guess, I would say ultimately he's not tight end 3, that they cut him and add him to the practice squad and keep him around and use him as a possibility in case somebody gets hurt, because he would be a nice guy to have to bring back. He understands this offense. He gets in, gets along well with the other guys in the room. So I think that's why it also makes sense. I think that Warner makes it, and then Matthews ends up on the practice squad.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably the route that this is going right now, barring something happening and Charlie Warner either dropping off of a cliff in terms of production or Jordan Matthews elevating to levels we haven't seen quite yet. Always a possibility, but I think that's the safe route, and that's the natural course that this would take. This is Jordan Matthews' first time playing this position, so
Correct.
There's still things that he's going to have to clean up and learn.
Yeah, for sure.
CJ asked, how important is actual game action for Aaron Banks? Very, very, very important.
It is. We've seen a steady improvement from him since we've been out there. And it was not even a full week of time that we saw him between his performance at Levi's to his performance the last day of camp. And he got a lot better. He looked better. He was able to anchor down. But he's definitely still developing. So people need to be patient with him and let him develop. He will not be right guard, 1 to start the season. Hopefully he can develop during the season, that in case Brunskill goes down or something, he can go. But Brunskill has secured this spot. Brunskill went in there and won this job. They don't even have Colt. They let Colton McKivitz get some reps there, but now Colton McKivitz has been moved over to left guard. Colton McKivitz is not in it. Daniel Brunskill won this job. The starting line is done. It's secure.
There is no more position battles.
There's no more position battles on the offensive line.
You may hear people, if Banks has a good game, trying to stir up something about a position battle.
Wait, you mean there was whispers in the crowd that they were going to get something going about Banks?
There were whispers in the crowd by certain people.
I think people want Banks to. I think even I want Banks to get out there.
Of course we want Banks to get out there and play well, because we've both believed, right? If Banks is your starting right guard, your line just got significantly better because you have Brunskill who can play everywhere. However, we watched training camp. We watched the first 13 days. Daniel Brunskill is playing at a different level. The first team run game, other than a handful of days in practice, has looked phenomenal. And the second unit has not looked clean. It's gotten better as camp has progressed. but it's nowhere near the levels of consistency that you've seen from this first team O-line. Banks is not anywhere near Brunskill right now in terms of development, in terms of being able to execute this offense at an elite level, and that's what it's about. It's not about Banks playing well enough to play on par with Brunskill. He has to overtake Daniel Brunskill. He has to play significantly better than Daniel Brunskill. He's got to be better in the run game. He's got to be better in pass pro, right? He's got to be better in picking up blitzes. All of those things have to be better than Daniel Brunskill if he's going to be the starting right guard. He hasn't done it yet.
I see that Luke said we predicted Banks to start. That is not accurate. In fact, Alex never predicted Banks to start.
Not once.
I said he would eventually take over the job. I 100% said that. I said it was going to be razor close, and then he would eventually supplant him. I didn't know when that was going to be, whether that was week 1 or eventually into the season. That is not looking like it's the case right now.
As of this point in time, again, that's this point in time, right?
Correct.
During the draft time, you only have what you can work with based on what you've seen, and so you make your guesses, you make your predictions, and you get to camp, you get to see a little bit of it, right? He could have a good preseason game here. He could have a great preseason game in 2, and then an incredible one in 3, and all of a sudden this wide gap is now, it's within reach, it's within arm's distance. It's within arm's distance, and he's an injury away from being on the field or a bad game away by Brunskill to stepping onto the field and getting an opportunity in certain situations and giving him a chance and giving him a run. But you're right. You've left the door open for Banks.
Correct.
I'm the one who, for the most part, has shut the door on Banks for this year, thinking that he was an option down the road. If Brunskill has a great, I said it, this was my take. If Brunskill has a great year, you're probably not going to be able to afford to pay Daniel Brunskill next year. And if you have to choose between Daniel Brunskill and Jason Verrett, it's not a choice. You're paying Jason Verrett, and Daniel Brunskill is walking, and you're hoping that Aaron Banks in year 2 can now step in and be that right guard. That's always kind of been my thought process on it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, and Luke is right that Chapman did think Banks was going to be the guy that take over, but I think a lot of people did, and I think I got kind of caught up in the idea too of this vertical run game.
We all did. I mean, I still
because we also saw Jalen Moore was supposed to be a guard as well,
and now he's playing tackle.
And now he's playing tackle because of injury. So you're looking at how they drafted, and it made sense. All the signs pointed that way. It was still hard to believe that Brunskill Wright wasn't going to be able to win. That's why I kept leaving the door open, like just in case. But I wanted to see Banks playing games. I've made that clear from the beginning that it's going to be hard to predict until you see a guy play a football game. We've seen him in practice, but that's still not going to put us over the top on who's going to make this roster. That's why they have these preseason games, and they're so important. Because you're going to get to see these guys when bullets fly. Some guys step up. Some guys come out of nowhere and make plays. That's what I think. Talanoa Hufanga is going to be one of those guys. We've seen him flying around at the end of practices the last couple times we were out there. Now that he gets to play another team, don't be surprised if you don't see someone get absolutely whacked.
Someone is getting hit.
I won't even be surprised to see Talanoa Hufanga get a couple flags.
He's probably going to. Someone is going to get smacked tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. Kenny, I liked your bold prediction earlier. Horst will be back by week 1. Good one.
Week 1 of the regular season?
He's in week 1 of the regular season.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's been around.
Yeah, he's been around a little bit.
He's excited. He's excited. I love it. But no, yeah, like there's going to be fluctuation with this O-line. There's going to be fluctuation with some of these position battles. And just because something is what it is right now doesn't mean that it's going to continue to be that going forward in the future. But as of this point in time, that right guard job doesn't look like it's a competition. It looks like a runaway at this point in time and at this moment. And you know what? That's okay. Banks, the question and the concerns with Banks that we always had was the agility, right? The lateral movement, being able to move side to side, being able to get upfield to second level and get himself into positions to get the right angles to get his second level blocks intact and opening up running lanes and opportunities for these running backs to run. And while he has looked good to an extent in the run game, he hasn't looked as clean and as solid in the pass game in certain things, especially against more agile, quick pass rushers and defensive linemen.
Like Mo Hurst.
Mo Hurst has dominated him at times in practice. So he has things he's got to clean up. But that doesn't mean necessarily that, he can't clean those things up or that he won't get it figured out. 2019-2020 season was just crazy with all the COVID stuff and all that. So, having the virus around and messing with people's routines and how they practice and how they prepared and access to weight rooms and things of that nature, it wasn't until recently that some of those things started to open back up again. And it does take time to get your body back to what it fully was when you were playing at your best or your peak level pre the virus, right? Pre that virus, it's different. It's a different world. He may just not be back at that point yet where he's back to his, best version of himself as an athlete in terms of his mobility, his agility, right, strength, and things of that nature, and being able to put all of those things together into his fundamentals and his techniques.
It's a transition to go from playing college football to playing NFL football on the offensive line. You don't see that many people, unless they're a blue chipper, that come in and absolutely start from day one. It's development, and he's going to have to develop. And we just got to give him time. We got to remember that all these rookies have, only had a little bit of time. Not all of them can go out there and be Trey Lance and play, at a great level compared to the other rookies that are in the class. It is hard for a rookie to come in and translate his game to the NFL. The speed is different. What is asked of you is different. The way you have to get your body is different. So we have to give these guys time to develop. But I don't think he's Joshua Garnett either. I don't think that. I think he's got potential, and he's gonna come out there. I would say right now, put him between Mike Upati as a rookie and Josh Garnett as a rookie, somewhere in the middle. And I think he has potential to be better than even Upati. So there's potential there. He just got to develop.
I like that. That's a fair analysis. It's a even-keeled analysis. Man, it's almost like this channel just doesn't go over the top with it. We go with realistic comparisons. I mean, that's great.
I try not to.
I mean, you do a really good job of not doing it. It's me at times. It's got to wheel it back in a little bit, but it's fine. At least we know, right? At least we know. Our first score is coming from the defense. Might be a safety, and San Francisco's calling 30-17 49ers. And it's bold and it's specific. I love it.
Yeah, I'll take that. 30-17 sounds wonderful.
It's true. There was another one earlier. I just saw this earlier. Frank had asked, or Frank had said, 5th round pick Jalen Moore. Which tackle position will he be better geared for? Right tackle or left tackle? A real potential as a starter or backup this year?
He's a backup this year, 100%. But he does have potential to start eventually. He's taking reps at left tackle. That's why we've seen him on the second team every single day. He's been at left tackle. I think he's the swing tackle this year, and then he has the potential to start eventually. But he might play left guard next year, because him or Banks might play left guard next year because Laken Tomlinson is going to be a free agent.
Accurate.
So they have to make some decisions there. But he could eventually, play either right tackle if McGlinchey leaves, or play left tackle once they have to move on from Trent Williams. So he has that kind of potential. We'll see how he develops. But so far, I like what I see from the rookie. I mean, he's not ready to start by any means, but he's been very confident and very good, and he doesn't get beat very often. He has good hand placement and good technique. The development is going swimmingly, so I'm excited to see what he does in a game where he's going against. I would love to see him go against some of the first teams of some of these other teams. That way, also practices against the Chargers. Can we please get Joey Bosa lined up on him? I want to see how he handles it.
I want to see that too, because he has looked great, and I like his potential this year, especially as a backup at tackle. And going forward, it very well could be the case that he moves back to guard, especially with Skule coming potentially back off of injury in the next year, or the Niners just deciding to make a different move somewhere else. And Jag just came running in for the Wow That's Bold take.
I was just reading this. Go ahead and read it, because I didn't read the whole thing.
My goodness gracious almighty. Jag comes in with, if his first bold take wasn't bold enough, well, here y'all go. Jalen Hurd breaks all of the rules, all of the regulations, and secretly suits up, runs onto the field, probably has to knock out whoever the returner is supposed to be, and then takes a kickoff back for a tutty. That is bold beyond belief. Might be the boldest thing that's ever been stated on this podcast. And I have gone above and beyond on the bold.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Jag? What are you doing, huh? Now I gotta do a different Wow That's Bold now, Ant? Because I don't know if I can be one-upped. I don't know if I can stand for it.
Jag definitely one-upped everyone with the Wow That's Bold. I don't think anyone can go farther than that. That's the equivalent of a run-in in wrestling. He just did a run-in. Jalen Hurd run in, take over the field, and makes a big play. I like it. I think it's funny. That was solid by Jag.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. It's going to make me step up my Wow That's Bold game, Jag. Don't like it, but I love it at the same time. Niner Joe Empire asked, Hurd Dwelly is looking good in camp.
True.
He is.
He is. Dwelly's looking good. In fact, Thursday he made a great catch from Trey Lance. down the seam, and it was a touchdown. It was a great throw, great catch. He had another one where he was on the sideline where he dove out of bounds and toe tapped. It was a fantastic catch. So yeah, Dwelly has looked really good. In fact, the tight ends overall have looked really good in the days that we've been there.
They have. They really have. Warner's looked great. The Dwellys look good. I mean, George Kittle is George freaking Kittle, so of course he looks great. It's just one of those things with the tight end room. There's just a lot of good things happening. Jordan Matthews is slowly trying to climb his way up there. And the best part about all of it, we haven't even yet to see Michael Pruitt yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Michael Pruitt's still been working out, so we'll see eventually when he comes back. Maybe he'll come back next week for practices, and see if he can make this team. But he's got an uphill climb now. These other guys are way ahead of him, and now I think he's on even footing with Jordan Matthews. Michael Pruitt, another guy that makes his name with his blocking. So he's going to have to do that very well. And Jordan Matthews is going to have to outpace him while also improving his blocking. So that'll be a battle. We'll see. I don't think Kyle's keeping 4 tight ends this year. I think it's going to be 3. It's going to be hard for Pruitt and for Jordan Matthews to make this roster.
It's going to be very difficult indeed. We'll have to see what happens. But I'll tell you what, man, I'm just excited for 49ers football being back in full force to an extent, obviously, because we're not going to get to see the first team run as long. But we get to watch this football team. We get to watch this football team in its entirety, from 1 all the way to 90, right? Every single member of this team trying to go out.
If Rosen gets to play.
Poor Josh.
Yeah. Well, there won't be 90 guys suited up because we know we have guys that aren't playing. There's a lot of lot of guys that won't be suited.
Like 1 to 80, 82.
Random 8. Okay, I like it. We don't know who those 8 are, but we do probably know who the 8 are.
There's a good chance we know what some of them are.
Yeah,
some of them. It's fine. It's fine. It is. It's less than 24 hours away. This is exciting. This is great. Watching Jimmy G get a little bit of a run going. Watching this first team defense getting a little bit of a run going. Maybe it's more than a series. Probably just a series. It is what it is. Getting to see the emergence in the final. For the first time ever in Levi Stadium, getting to watch Trey Lance take the frickin' field and do stuff with this offense is going to be fun to watch. Watching the first look of a D'Amico Ryans defense and what they're doing, it won't be too crazy.
No, it won't.
But we'll get to see it for the first time, right? Getting to watch Hufanga, Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore out there operating with this defense, getting their first runs and their first glimpses, right? All of the new D-line pieces that we've brought in and added, whether it's Arden Key, whether it's Maurice Hurst, right? Whether it's Eddie Yarborough, who's been turning heads every which way at camp. Maybe a little bit of DJ Jones out there. I'm excited to see him back on the field.
Probably for a series,
For the first series, and then he'll be resting like he should be. But it's just going to be a lot of fun. Contavious Street and Kevin Givens, both of them being able to get out there and do some stuff.
That is exciting, too. Street finally healthy all the way with a full off season.
About freaking time.
I'm curious what he's going to be able to do out there.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. Indeed, this is going to be one heck of a season, and it doesn't get any better than opening it up versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, let's just first team, take it to them. Stick it to them for one series. Let's get super hyped for that, and then let's enjoy the development of the rest of these young guys.
Yeah, and I see what Frank is saying about Hufanga, and we saw great plays from Hufanga in camp. He would the first Jalen Hurd catch on Thursday, or actually it was the second one, the first one over the middle. Hufanga would have absolutely destroyed Jalen Hurd if he would have caught, if there was full contact, because he closed on that really fast. He came downhill at him, and he would have killed him on that dig route.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been pretty. In fact, I almost grabbed Ant and like, oh my God, no! And then Hufanga did a great job of pulling up. And then another second boldest take on the channel today. I'm not even in the top 2. This is crazy. Max pants don't get sweaty. That's bold. Not happening. He's going to have some sweaty pants.
He probably won't have that sweaty of pants. He's going to play one series.
It's going to be sweaty before that. He's going to get real sweaty in just one.
Oh, yeah, and I saw the towel up close and personal. I don't know if you know this, but when I was standing over there by the rope, they were taking a picture, a big group picture, and I was taking a look at it, and it was interesting because he definitely had a full towel going on there.
It's a lot. That's a lot of sweat, and that's a lot of towel there to try and contain that sweat.
It is a beach towel, ladies and gentlemen. It is not like a little hand towel.
It is not at all. Look, and then there was, how many running backs do you think we're going to keep plus Juice?
4+.
I would say 4+, right? Juice is, we have to consider Juice in the running back room because they're not going to break this down by fullback. So Juice is a part of that running back room. So you're going to get 4 running backs plus Juice for a total of 5.
Yeah. I think that's what it has to be. And you still have Jeff Wilson Jr. that's going to come back during the season. And if no one's hurt, then who goes then? What happens then? Yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a huge roster, move that's going to have to be made there. So that'll be interesting. I mean, conventional wisdom says somebody's going to be hurt.
Someone is going to have to,
and he's going to go in there. But if not, are they going to have to cut one of these rookies or something? I don't know. They were going to have a tough decision anyway. So,
yeah, accurate indeed. They're going to have to. It's going to be a tough call, no matter what. No matter what happens, this roster is stacked. It's loaded. It's got a ton of talent. Right, this team is primed for success. And the only thing all 49ers fans are hoping for, right, is just no injury bug. We don't want that nonsense. Keep that injury bug away. And all of the butt sweat also. The butt sweat needs to...
Monica, go read the story about why they call Mark Schlereth stink.
Oh, gosh, that's a rough one also.
Go read that. That'll be fun.
It is. It's not a fun one. It's not great. It's not great. Look, Cutback Crew, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed the live stream. We enjoyed the little preview show. Not as long as our typical preview shows are going to be, but also not containing all of the great things that you normally see from our Cutback shows.
Yeah, there's going to be so much more that we do during these preview shows. They're so exciting. I can't wait till we get there and we're able to do it. September is going to be just around the corner. We're almost there, and once we get there, the shows are going to be exciting. They're going to be fun. They're going to be interactive. I'm looking forward to all of it. I'm looking forward to all these great questions. We keep getting just awesome questions all the time.
Caleb just asked another one too. What do we do with Wilson when he comes back? We don't know.
Well, the good thing is they have time for that.
Accurate.
Because they can activate him, or not activate him, but they can start that practice window once he gets off the IR, and then they can kind of stretch it out as long as they can until they have to make a roster decision. But when they do, that's going to be a roster decision that ultimately hurts.
It is. It's going to sting a little bit, and because you're going to lose someone somewhere at some position. I just really excited for the season. I'm really excited for the preseason to get started because again, after this game, we're that much closer to the regular season, getting into football, getting into things, and also it's a great chance for us to take a look at other players around the league too that we had in our draft mockups and see how they're producing and performing, so we can notch some check marks in our belt, some guys that we hit on.
Yeah, and I continue to yell at that mean ocean, but I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the game. It's going to be fun. The tension is palpable. Can't wait for it. And this is going to be fun to watch. I've been hyped about Trey playing since he got drafted. And now we're going to get to see it. We're going to get to see a lot of great players play. I've said this before. I really do enjoy preseason. I enjoy seeing the second and third stringers out there. Some of the most exciting football for me because I see guys that are giving everything they can to make their dream come true and make an NFL roster and make this a career and change their lives. And they're going to go out there and give 100%, and I want to see it. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to be exciting, and I'll be eating my traditional 49ers football dish and just watching the game.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a blasty blast. Make sure you be safe, Cutback Crew. Enjoy the Week 1 preseason game versus the Chiefs. You're not going to get this one again. First look at Trey Lance. First look at all of our rookies. It's going to be a blast. Ant, though, I think it's time, my guy.
It is. And make sure you join us tomorrow night for the recap show. Reaction show. It's going to be exciting. Come through. Let us know what you guys thought of the game and leave some questions. But you're right. It's that time. We have no more time for Josh Rosen. We have no more time for that mean ocean. It's time to go. Let's chalk another one up.
See y'all tomorrow night. Go Niners, go.